You say you can't walk, but you can still exercise those legs. You can still build collateral vessels. And here to tell us how, of course, is Kevin Thomas Morgan. He is an incredible PAD warrior and he's an athlete. He wrote the PAD training manual you can find on Amazon. Also sign up for his newsletter at inspirationalselfhelpbooks.com. If you go to our YouTube channel, at The Weight of My Heart or at Fit Old Dog, you'll see a lot of what we're talking about today. You'll hear him talking about the first 7 chapters, I believe, Kevin, of your book. And today we're talking about what I think is my favorite, which is the PAD 100 chapter, and really diving in and learning how to do this right.
Yep, chapter 9.
Oh, wait, it's chapter 9. Whoopsies. Chapter 9.
Total of 20 chapters.
Okay, so chapter 9, PAD 100.
And I'll be constantly interrupted by my dogs. You want to go out or not? We'll stop.
That's okay. Pause for PAD. PAWS for PAD.
Stop.
You walk 22 minutes more if you have a dog. Studies show. They're a good thing.
Yes.
See, Kevin, I need your dog.
No, you're not having my dog.
Marilyn.
There's lots of dogs in pounds. These are both rescue dogs. They're always rescue dogs, and I'm a rescue human. So anyway, you just tell me when to get started.
We're ready for you, Kevin.
Oh,
PAD
okay.
100. Let's go.
It's called
Chapter 9.
Chapter 9 of my training manual, and it's called Master the PAD 100 Exercise Correctly.
Yes.
Well, this morning I was talking to a friend, and she was saying, oh, she does it every day, and she showed me with the hands doing this, right? And I realized that she was missing out the most important part of the exercise. The trick is to turn your feet into remote blood pumping stations. And so when you do this, you pump the blood out of your feet because you're contracting the muscles, not only in your calves, but in your feet. But the real problem is letting blood back in when effectively, the heart goes in systole, contracts distally when it relaxes. And so the distally of your pumping of your feet is when you spread your toes. And that is the hardest thing to master. And I find that's the one thing I start forgetting if I'm not careful. And I use my hands to guide me in that. You have to get your toes to spread with yoga toes. You have to get loose fitting wide toe box shoes so they can spread. Because you have to go, the PAD 100 you can do in a chair or in bed, but you have to take it on the road. And that was the video I just put out that was shown last week. You have to do it. So you have to do it correctly. And I show that in several videos that explain how to do that. But let's get back to my training manual. The objective of this chapter 9, is to strengthen your feet in preparation for doing this blood pumping on the roads or trails, even while running if you can. I'm still working on running. Running is tough. I can run short distances, but then I can't get enough blood through my feet, but I'm working on that because running with PAD, which I've had since 2014, and with completely blocked popliteal on the right and much blocked on the left. So I'm having to get enough collaterals and enough blood pumping through my feet to run. And that is an art. I've signed up for the White Lake Half Ironman next May. That gives me all winter to train. I had heart surgery due to a high triglyceride, very, very high genetic triglycerides in my blood. 6 months ago, I had that surgery. And 3 days ago, 6 months to the day from surgery, I got back on my bike. I rode an easy 11 miles. It was fine. So now I'm back in training. And so the fitter you are, and I'm 83 now, the fitter you are when you go into surgery, the fitter you'll be when you come out, and the chances of survival are much increased. Okay, the trick is you alternately flex and spread your feet as you will later while walking around. So you spread them and then you flex them. You spread them, then you flex them. And you have to do this while you're walking. And a key to that, you cannot do that if you heel strike. The key to that is shoulder hip counter rotation, which I explained in the video last week. And the best way to learn shoulder hip counter rotation, if you have access to a gym, is an elliptical trainer. Elliptical trainers force you to do shoulder hip counter rotation. That means when you pull your arm back on the elliptical trainer, your right, I'll say your right arm, then your right foot, and thus your hip goes forward. They go in the opposite direction. So you're constantly twisting your spine, and it's that spinal twist that is which is the elastic recoil that makes running with your whole body so much easier. And that is a critical part of the PAD exercise. But you need to forget that for now. If you want to master the PAD exercise correctly, and I use it all the time now, you have to learn to both contract your entire foot, to flex your entire foot, and then to alternate that with spreading your foot, which is extremely difficult for your feet because we're not used to doing that. And so you approach that first with yoga toes, and then you learn to spread your feet without yoga toes, and then you learn to spread your feet in the PAD100, and then you learn to spread your feet while you're walking along the road. That is a sequence of events that will allow you to turn your feet into remote blood pumping stations, which will aid your heart. It will improve blood return to your heart. It will allow blood to flow through your feet because you let new blood in, and that resistance is reduced, and thus the systolic drive of blood from your heart, and your heart is only one of many pumps in your body, will make it easier for fresh blood to get into your feet, which reduces your chance of losing your toes. So that is the art. I'll continue if you have any questions. Right? Any questions? Everything clear?
So take a look at
I have-
Douglas's
I-
and see how he's doing, and then we'll get to Marilyn. I just want Douglas has been doing a little bit of toe yoga, and he's trying to combine that, I think, with a little bit of the PAD100. Can you take a look, Kevin?
Take a look at what?
Douglas is trying to do some foot exercises down there.
I can't see Douglas.
You don't see his feet moving?
No, I see Mike, I see Bob, I see Marilyn, I see Andrea, I see Carl. Oh,
There
no,
we are. There's his feet.
Where do you
there's
get
his
those?
What the thing is, he's doing that with the toe
Yoga.
separators on.
Yeah.
You don't want to be doing it with your toe separators on. You got to learn to do it. You use the toe separators to spread your feet, and then you've got to master spreading your toes, which he does very well, by the way. So you're using the toe separators as a stretching to spread your feet. And you can see he spreads his feet pretty well with or without the toe separators.
Yeah, he does a great job. Yeah.
You definitely don't want to be running on the road or walking on the road with toe separators, because if you do, the thing about wearing those toe separators, it prevented him from completely closing his foot. So put them on, put one of them on again, Doug, and show us again.
We're putting you to work, Douglas. He's always such a good sport with his show and tell.
So the trick is when you contract your feet to drive the blood out of your feet, which is like your heart.
Good morning, Grief Gal.
To drive blood out of your heart. If you have toe separators on, it will cause you to be unable to pull those toes tight together, which you do when you contract your whole foot.
Here we go.
So you can see if he's got the toe separators on, and now contract your foot. You could hold your foot contracted. I can't see your right foot. I can only see your left foot.
Yeah, suddenly it went vertical, it went portrait mode.
Yeah,
there you go.
Went to landscape mode. Now contract your feet, and you can see how the toe separators will keep his toes apart while they need to be able to completely contract. That will inhibit his ability to fully contract those muscles in the bottom of his feet, and that is not a good idea. Okay, thank you, Doug. That's enough of that.
I just want
awesome.
to ask you, Kevin.
Thanks so much,
When you're doing
Douglas.
sorry.
What's that, Marilyn?
When you're doing the hip rotation so you don't land on your heel, are you kind of you move your hip forward, so you're kind of almost doing a little bit of a wiggle when you walk? Is that correct?
I don't know.
Well,
I feel like it.
My son calls it strutting. Some people call it walking like a girl, which is true. It's actually true.
Okay.
You do get that, and a lot of runners are advised to run like a girl because then they will run more like a kid runs, more relaxed because their hips are mobile. Men get very stiff in their hips. Women tend not to go that road because they have totally differently designed hips. I mean, that's a fact of life. Or else, I mean, man, I wouldn't like to have a baby through my hips, for God's sake. Anyway, and so
Okay,
yeah,
Sam,
you do.
I'm wiggling down them all.
Yeah, they do wiggle a bit, but in a way, it's more a lateral translation of your hips, right? Your hips are doing this back and forth, and so you want to watch out for that, which is what creates the wiggle. So you have to be careful about that. That's a whole nother story. But I suspect that in men and women, it's very different because of the design of the mechanics of our hips.
Okay, thank you.
Good question. Okay, on we go. Related videos.
Thanks, Marilyn.
Each one of these thank you, Marilyn and Doug. Each one of these chapters has recommended videos. I mean, I organize them, now I have to reorganize them. I put new ones in all the time, but this is a paperback, so don't change it all the time. Okay, the PAD 100 exercise to fight peripheral artery disease using your remote blood pumping stations is the name of one of the videos. So you can go find that. And there's another one called Use Your Feet to Save Your Feet, the diaphragm pump analogy, where I compared the pumping action of your feet to the pumping action of a diaphragm pump. And you can watch that at work, because in a way, you've got to think about pumping with your feet. And I notice if I don't think about working on spreading my toes, before you know it, I'm starting to do less of that until it's more just a contraction. And I've got to avoid that at all costs, because then as soon as I start, being lazy with the expansion of my foot, claudication kicks in. It just kicks in, especially on hills. So the trick is, as this chapter says, to learn how to do the exercise correctly. And that video, my latest video on my site, will show you how I use shoulder hip counter rotation, which allows me to make these movements while I'm walking, not just, sitting in bed or whatever. So it's critical you do it correctly, not just flapping your feet around. People are like, oh, well, yeah, I'm just flapping my feet about. You're not doing that at all. The key is, as in wax on, wax off in the Karate Kid. Remember the Karate Kid movie, how he showed the Karate Kid how to move? That is exactly the way you learn. It was brilliant movie. It was truly brilliant. Okay, he learned how to do those things too quickly. I mean, and doing the crane thing at that last end of the movie was like, it probably taken 20 years to master the crane, but it was a movie, right? And Mr. Miyagi, unfortunately, that actor died. I thought he was great. He showed him how doing very simple tasks like waxing your car could be used in martial arts and used in learning how you move. So that movie is very good, actually. And so I recommend you watch it. I mean, I've watched it several times. I wouldn't watch the other two Karate Kid movies. They're useless. So you want to use your feet to save your feet. And don't forget to spread your toes. You must understand what you are doing and why you're doing it. It's not just.
We have to say hi to Mike, though.
Pardon?
Say hi to Mike. Mike's out there walking with us.
Oh, hi, Mike. How you doing?
Mike, you're out there walking. Are you turning your calves into remote or your feet into remote pumping stations as you're walking out there?
I'm definitely doing that as I'm walking. I need to do it. I went dancing last night and we did a few fast dances and I started getting claudication in my left leg. So I need to start doing more pumps in my. I haven't had claudication for a few months, so it was a bit of a shock. So yeah, I need to put a little bit more effort into doing the foot pumps while I'm out walking. So
Yeah, you know what I'm
doing that as I'm
wondering?
walking today.
I'm wondering, Kevin, if, when he's sitting there and he's getting ready to go dancing or he's in between dances, if he can do a little bit of the PAD 100 and if that might help him to reduce the chance of claudication while he's out there dancing.
Yeah, if you don't even need to do 100, you can do 20 or 30 or 40, which I do when I get out of bed. And the real trick is to focus on that spreading of your toes. This part's easy, that part's hard. And so when you do that exercise before you go dancing or before you get out of bed, try and focus a little on the spreading of your foot and plus, you know, you do your work with your yoga toes, which you have to. It's like when I go to the gym, I always stretch after a workout, and it's
Yeah.
the same with your yoga toes. I need to be on those yoga toes, you know, after I've done a long walk, and spread my feet out, and you'll find they resist a bit because they get tired. That's my dog barking out the back.
Yeah.
And so yeah, no, I think give that a try and then let us know. Let us know if it helps. Because if you're doing line dancing and
will
stuff
do.
like that, most people with PAD can't even dream of doing that. So it's really good, except you are young.
I think I didn't drink enough yesterday, so I think I was a little bit dehydrated. And the heat here at the moment is like 35 degrees during the day, and I just didn't drink enough yesterday. So I think I played a factor in it as well. So
Yeah, that
thank you.
Yeah, dehydration makes a huge difference. And the heat makes a huge difference to PAD patients.
Oh, wow. I want to
Yeah.
give a shout out right now. We have Debbie who's listening from the U of M hospital. She's waiting to get released. She's up and moving, ready to walk. Yay. Debbie, you can join us every single week. We are here. And that was my dad, in case you saw him jumping in the background. He's so excited because he's now at 3.2 miles, I think he said. He's walking. So Debbie, join us every single week, every Wednesday. Make sure you can also join our live studio audience. Our email is info, at padhelp.org, info at padhelp.org. Just email us and you can join our incredible live studio audience, but you can also just subscribe to our channel right there. While you're there, Debbie, and you're sitting there, just like the video, subscribe to our channel, and every week you'll get notified with some really great stuff that we have happening every week, including on Friday, Kevin. We're gonna do a high protein meal. We're gonna do breakfast for dinner. And I think Douglas is going to join Chef Eric and maybe Alan from Canada, and they're going to join and make a heart healthy breakfast for dinner. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. But quick shout out to Mike. Kevin, Mike had some good news this week that he's failed to share with us here. I don't know if he wants to announce it. You don't have to if you don't want, but I can just say congratulations.
Was it your citizenship or what was it?
Yeah, I got my permanent residency for Canada, so everything's gone through now. So I'm a permanent resident. I've been looking for jobs. I had an interview on Friday.
So
no, Monday. I had an interview day before yesterday.
I'll write a letter of
hear
recommendation.
on Friday whether I'll pick you.
Do you want a letter of recommendation, Kevin? I'll write one for you.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, if I need one, that'd help. Great.
I'll tell you what I do need.
So yeah,
reference right here.
I'll tell you what I do need. I need reviews of my PAD training plan on Amazon because there aren't any. Anybody who's read it and thinks it's any good or thinks it's useless, if they can say so on Amazon.
If anyone is watching right now, go onto Amazon and review Kevin's book. I am doing it right now, Kevin, because I have failed you. I thought which one did I did a review on one of them.
Yeah, I think the first book.
Okay, so it's been a while.
So I think Mike actually reviewed one of these books on the Canadian site, and that comes up. I don't see it unless I have to go look at the Canadian stats, but I think Mike already did, whereas Kim failed abjectly.
I don't know. Can I leave an actual thing? I mean, I bought it so long ago. I bought a whole bunch.
You can, if it's on Amazon in the USA, which is Amazon.com, it'll have a memory of you having purchased the book. The thing is, you just need to put in an honest review. Just say what you think of it, and it does help. I don't like promoting myself, but in this case, it's to help other people, and so. Anyway, if you can, but it has to be, you have to use the exercises and find it useful, or if you find it hopeless, say that too. In fact, negative reviews can be more helpful than positive reviews. I mean, positive reviews are encouraging. Negative reviews sometimes, for instance, my first novel I wrote, I got, really positive reviews from 20 odd people, but one person told me he gave me a 4-star instead of a 5-star. And he didn't say why, but he happened to be a neighbor I didn't know very well. And he told me about reading my novel. And I said, "Oh, did you give me that 4-star review?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Why was that?" I was interested. He says, "Because your narratives of people talking didn't seem realistic." So that was great. So I went off and studied, conversational speech in written language. And that has actually helped me a lot working on the next book. And I'll go back and fix the first one once the trilogy's done. So, useful pointers are good. When people give negative reviews and don't say why, not for me particularly. I mean, I never give negative reviews. Why would I do that? I mean, if a book is good, I give a positive review. If it's negative and I didn't like it, it's just because it might not be my style. So who am I to tell people not to read it? So I don't do that. But that's just my personal opinion. So anyway, that's it. But reviews can be important to some degree. But the real importance is people talking to each other. This, to me, is the best way to spread the word. Is the way Kim is allowing me to speak here, which is really kind of her.
Yeah, it's fun to interact. And I know that Douglas wants to interact. Douglas, go ahead.
Which book are you looking to have done on Amazon?
Oh, the training plan.
So if people are out there and they're on there, where do they go? Where would they go? What's the name and where would they go? Because you know what I mean?
Well, if you just go to Kevin Thomas Morgan, all my books turn up. And so if you go to Kevin Thomas Morgan, Peripheral Artery Disease training plan, it'll pop right up. And then you'll see there's a place on there where it says you can leave reviews, and that's where you leave a review. I mean, I write a review on a book every week. I mean, I read a book a week. So
Okay,
That's
now
amazing.
I've done hundreds of these reviews.
here's the real thing I was wanting to say. Like Nancy is sitting in the hospital. I remember the day after my bypass, I turned to the side of the bed and I saw this, and I put my feet on the floor and I moved my feet back and forth. It's that movement. And I remember sitting at the doctor's office. I took my shoes off. People looked at me like I was strange, and I started doing the toe things. And the thing I was wanting you to impress upon everybody is think about all the different times during the day we can do this when we're just sitting there doing nothing, and the importance of that in helping us with PAD and keeping our legs. I hope that made sense to you.
No, it makes total sense. And the thing is, you can say those things in a review on Amazon, and then other people read your review and they will say whether the review is helpful or not. They'll comment on whether your review was helpful. And this is one of the ways to get the word out. The best way to get the word out is friends and family talking to friends and family.
That's true, but it wasn't
right.
it wasn't about the review. It's about us in our personal lives. Forget the review right now. It's about us in our personal lives and how every day we can do these things to improve and to help us. When I drive 2.5 hours to get to my doctor, and I take my shoes off and I put cruise control on. I'm out in the country roads. I put cruise control on and I'm doing the yoga toes while I'm driving.
Right.
And it's those little moments, like when you're sitting there watching TV, you have an hour show, you're watching Survivor. That's an hour you can watch TV, get your show watched, and exercise your feet at the same time.
Yeah, the tricky part, Doug, is reaching people, because I say all this stuff in my videos. I say it in my books. I say it on here. I say it on Facebook. I say it on Instagram. I say it all these different places. But getting through to people is obviously you build this stuff into your daily life, which I've said. One of the videos is about turning this action into a conditioned reflex, so you do it automatically. I say these things, but to reach people, to really reach people, you need $1 million advertising budget. My advertising budget is about $100 a month. That's about all I can afford. And so that's the real problem. It's not so much, okay, the ideas are clear in our mind and the people here are listening, but how do we get through to those patients in a waiting room who are going to go and see a doctor who's going to cut their feet off without even mentioning our work? That is the real battle.
Well, unfortunately, I apologize to you, Kevin, personally, because some of us are hard-headed and stubborn.
Well,
And
you don't need to apologize.
Self-proclaimed.
sometimes we have to write. I can hear my dad now going, son, I don't know why I told you 20 times not to do that, but I guess the light bulb finally came on. So sometimes, unfortunately, you have to just repeat yourself. And I know Kim does this all the time. Sometimes it just takes us a little while to catch on some things. And to think about, I was in a staff meeting the other day and I was doing that, and somebody next to me asked me what I was doing, and I told her. So think about this. Yes, you would like to reach millions, but you're reaching one at a time, Kevin, right now, and you're making an impact
Yeah.
in people's lives.
Yeah, there's a guy, Kenny, who is cleans the mall where I write in the mornings. The mall opens at 7 o'clock in the morning. It's a very tiny mall. Opens at 7 in the morning, but the shops don't open until 10. So I go down there and I do my writing between 7 and 10 when there's no one interrupting me. And Kenny's always there. And he had a major foot problem, and I noticed he tends to have his right foot is turned out. And I explained to him about having, using the yoga toes, which now he does. And I told him about, trying to lengthen his hip rotators to bring that foot back in. If not, it'll cause him problems later. And he actually listened. So that was kind of neat that I could help Kenny, nicest man you ever met. And then Sheila, my friend, I told her this morning about make sure you do this as well as that with your feet. Yeah, so I talk to people about this, but PAD is a small part of my life in many respects because I spent a lot of time writing and reading, and I'm trying to finish my second novel, which is all about protecting the environment from governmental regulations that are another story. So, yeah, so I tell people as much as I can, but you're right, Doug, you've got to keep repeating it and repeating it. And the people who should be repeating it are the doctors in their offices that don't even talk about it at all. And Kim is trying to reach those people all the time. So, yeah, this is called marketing. And it's tough. It really is. And you don't need to apologize to me, Doug. I admire your work.
He works really, really hard. He fights every single day. He just had a procedure, a couple weeks ago, Douglas, and they said he has
3
some
weeks
strong
ago.
collaterals. Yeah,
And
he's really
he
built
did
up.
talk about the collaterals, and I walk every day and I do those exercises. And I sat in the heart doctor's office a couple of weeks ago. I got to go back tomorrow. But I sat in there, took my shoes and socks off because I knew it was going to be about an hour before they saw me. And I did it in there. And I know people are looking at us like, what is this guy doing? And no one's asked me yet, but I'm ready to tell them what it is if they ask me.
Yeah.
I remember a friend of mine who I have meals with once every few months. One time he asked me, why do you walk weird? Everyone else walks normally. You walk weird. I said, I walk with a distinct shoulder hip counter rotation because I don't want a heel strike. These people are busily damaging their knees because they don't know how to walk. This guy can't even get on a bike. I mean, he's severely overweight. He's very, very unfit. He's about my age. He hates exercise and he thinks I walk weird. Are you joking? You won't be walking at all before long. So yeah, we do stand out as weird. And like my son said, I remember after I've been doing full Ironman races for 3 or 4 years, he goes, Dad, you're starting to strut. And I'm like, what? I'm starting to move normally like our ancestors did.
How long did it take you to actually learn that? Because I did it the other night, but I got down the road about a mile down the road, and I noticed I really wasn't doing it. So how long did it actually take you to get that incorporated where it is one of those things you kind of do naturally and not have to try and overemphasize that trying to learn it?
It was 2 knee surgeries due to running that caused me to focus on the idea. And that was over a period of years. When I got into full Ironman, I was never a runner. I had rickets as a kid. I have weak joints and bones. I'm shorter than my kids. And then I started running, but I had no knowledge of heel striking. So I was heel striking to the point that I got severe knee damage, split meniscus, inflamed plica, Baker's cyst. And after the second knee surgery, I realized I needed to learn how to run without injuring my knees. And so I found Jack Hagee's book recommended to me by a PA. And I did all the exercises in his book called Running with the Whole Body. And there he emphasizes this whole business of using your spinal elasticity to help you run and to prevent heel striking. And then I did all the exercises recommended by Danny Dreyer in chi running. And I managed to work out how to run without heel striking. About a year later, I was in a training camp in Arizona, and my coach said, Kevin, you are still heel striking a little bit on the right foot. And I realized I was, so I fixed it. And all those things over a period of several years got me to focus on engaging shoulder hip counter rotation. And now I watch myself walking, in videos and stuff, and that's absolutely what I do all the time. But I had to make it a conditioned reflex so I didn't have to think about it. Because when you go for a walk, you don't want to have to think about this shit all the time. You want to walk properly. And so, yeah, several years to realize its importance. I would say 6 to 8 months to make it almost a conditioned reflex. And whenever I, with PAD, it makes it a bit of a struggle to keep going when you go distance. And there I really have to make sure I do that shoulder hip counter rotation. It was only recently I realized that you're forced to do that on an elliptical trainer. And now I think if you watch that in my latest video, and then you watch how my feet land on the ground. So, I made a little film of me and my feet. Of course, people look at me all because I've got my camera on the ground and here I am walking up and down. I just ignore people because they're kind of boring. Anyway, and you can see how my foot comes in from the side and lands gently on the ground. And that's why I wanted to compare that to a pianist on the keys. If you watch a really good pianist, it's all so relaxed and so natural and so amazing. And you have to do that with your feet. So I would say about 5 to 8 years to realize its importance, and about another year to get it to work, and then another year to make it a conditioned reflex. But
Yeah.
nobody was guiding me. Nobody was really, apart from reading books, nobody was, explaining this to me. But fortunately, number one, I've studied body movement for years, multiple kinds of body movement, continuum and Pilates and gyrokinesis and yoga and all that stuff. I'm a pathologist by training, so I understand the body fairly well, especially the parts that we don't understand. And that helped a lot. And I'm a lifelong athlete, doing Ironman and running marathons, all that stuff. All these things came together along with, Kim's, podcasts that we're doing right here to get the teaching aspect in my mind, because it was hard enough for me to learn it, and to teach it is really hard. So take a look at that last video. It's the last one I brought up on my channel. It's probably on the PAD playlist. It's probably the last one on the playlist, but I'll move it to the top. And there you can see I explained the importance of yoga toes. I explained the importance of moving your spine in the right way and all that stuff. I try to get it into that one video. And of course, it's in my, it's in my training plan. I talk about it. But people who aren't, there's Bob said he lost his lower right leg. Well, in that case, I've known several people in that situation. I see one guy in that situation routinely using an elliptical trainer in the gym, and he seems to have pretty good biomechanics. And in order to work under those circumstances, you just have to modify your training accordingly and think like a detective. No doctor's going to tell you what to do. A PA may help, but if he doesn't have an amputation, he won't really understand it. The people here, we all have PAD, really severe, some of us, and we understand. That's why this is valuable, because, we're really peer experts who are trying to help other patients. So yeah, Bob, you can work with that as long as you're aware of the importance of your hips and your spine in healthy movement.
Yeah, and we want to help him just even while he's sitting in his chair or whatever, with his stump he has a below knee. Maybe there are ways and exercises you can help him with while he's sitting there in the chair to move, because it's also important for him to keep the circulation flowing in that region. And I heard that you could even mind over matter, literally move those areas of the leg that would typically move the toes, and you can still get the benefits in your upper leg. And I'm not sure exactly how that works. I had just heard it from a PT that it's possible.
Yeah, Kim, that is possible. I spoke to somebody on this site who I haven't seen in a while, who had amputation below the knee on one leg and half his foot on the other leg. And I asked him how he was doing these exercises, and he said he found it quite effective to do them with his phantom toes. And so that's worth thinking about. So he would do the exercise and he had no toes at all, but he would do it with his phantom toes. Imagine he had toes. And he said it really seemed to help with the movement of the rest of his, rest of his legs. So
That's
yeah,
interesting.
yeah, I thought that was pretty neat. The guy seemed to have no self-pity, and he said the people he feels sorry for are those people in the vascular surgery units who are sitting slumped over in their wheelchairs and they've given up. And they're going to not live for long. And so I thought it kind of neat for him to be concerned for those other people who were failing to do what he was doing. And remember, he had no toes at all. And so those people inspire the hell out of me.
Yeah, me too. It's pretty amazing. And Bob's fighting so hard. I'm so proud of him in advocating. Bob, he was scheduled for tomorrow for above knee, and he's fighting for it. I know it's very painful. And Bob, it is a fight every single hour, every day. It's not for the faint of heart to be trying to build those collateral vessels. When they say no pain, no gain, it's actually really true when it comes to PAD. There is going to be, and Kevin, if you can talk about this a little bit, there is pain even with the PAD100, but there are different types of pain. You don't want to have pain that's going to hurt yourself, but you want pain that is the trigger for your body to start building those collateral vessels and say, hey, this is plugging up here. I need this blood flow. We need to create new routes for the blood to go.
Yeah, you're right. We have to know the difference between good pain and bad pain. For us who don't have amputations, we have to understand that healthy exercise-induced pain is what's needed to grow collaterals. This has to involve some impact stress, but the impact stress needs to be carefully controlled. You don't want impact that's going to impair blood flow to your feet. That's countering the systolic drive of blood flow down your lower limb. So you need to optimize that amount, but you won't get the effects for growing collaterals on a treadmill or on a bike or in a pool. You have to have that little bit of impact that triggers the growth of collaterals. There's some research on that, but not enough. And now, if this book, the full title is Training Plan for PAD Heroes from Amputees to Athletes. I mean, I was very aware of my deficiencies when it came to helping people with amputations because I don't have one. And it's not so easy to do that. This is the problem when you go into the doctors and you talk about your problem with PAD. They don't understand what you're talking about. And they'll go reaching for a pill or getting a painkiller, the last thing you need. And it's only because they're not bad people. They just don't relate to our problem. Some do, but they're rare. They're extremely rare. And so somehow people with amputations due to PAD need to get together and form a group. And I'm sure that some of those people will find great ways to get around this issue of having some toes or no feet. Because they need to grow collaterals because PAD is progressive. This ischemia problem is progressive. Your diet can help depending on your biochemistry, but we also exercise is critical. And so it becomes a catch-22 for the amputee, and yet they've got to find a way. I don't know, maybe you could start I don't like Facebook very much, but you could start a Facebook page for PAD patients with amputations to find some self-help. Because
we actually have one.
Most of you.
I think it's PADamputation.org, I think it is.
Yeah, but is it a Facebook page where people can talk?
It is. It's PADamputation.com. And there's only 29 members, so it's small and it's very intimate, but we don't, some of those ones that have hundreds and thousands of people in it, you end up getting trolls and people that are not so helpful. So this is a very, this is a curated community for people with amputations. PAD, and I just created a vanity URL to make it easy. It's facebook.com/groups/PAD amputation. Happy to add you, Kevin, because maybe, Kevin, you can use it to write yet another book that has not been written yet for just amputees and exercise and converting some of your exercises. And we could get you some PTs to talk with, maybe some prostheticists.
If you can send me that link, that'd be great.
Yeah, because that would be amazing. They would all want to be involved with anything that you have going on.
Well, they're the only people who can solve the problem.
Yep, exactly. Douglas, go ahead. And Douglas, you never have to raise your hand. You can always speak up. We love you.
And I had this question the other day, Kevin, and you said this morning. You got back on your bike after a while, and we hear this a lot sometimes in the group. Is when people are out for a while, it's hard to get back into that routine and being able to do it correctly in that. So if you had a procedure and you have to be out a couple months, is it easy to get back into that routine? And do you start slow or do you just jump right back in?
Okay, the surgery unit at UNC wanted to send me for cardiac rehab after my cabbage surgery, my cardiac bypass surgery. My girlfriend Sue came up and basically helped me a lot in the hospital, is a cardiac rehab nurse, and she said to me, Kevin, you know more about exercise and rehab than any of those people in the rehab unit. I'm sure you can work it out, and I did. So I just thought about it from my perspective. But if you have no medical training, no athletic training, no body movement training, you do need to go and get guidance from the rehab unit. Me, I just went about it the same way I learned the Ironman, the same way I learned science, same way I learned anything. I started out easy, and it was quite interesting. In the hospital, a couple of days after my surgery, Sue she's a cardiac rehab nurse. She got kind of irritated that they didn't get me moving sooner. They waited like 3 days before they got me moving. She said in her hospital in Missouri, they would get these patients on their feet and moving absolutely as soon as they could. And I can promise you that getting on my feet, and you know this, Doug, moving after cardiac surgery was one of the really painful things in my life. It's extremely painful and extremely hard to come over the resistance that you want to just lie back down again because it hurts so much. Anyway, so I was made to move in the hospital, and I'm glad they made me move because it was extremely difficult. But as soon as I got back out, I knew I wanted to get back into Ironman again because that's what helps keep my triglycerides down, helps keep me going. So the first thing I did was, make sure I could get around the house safely. And then I started walking in the house because I could walk about 50 steps and then I'd sit down and take a rest. This is like about 10 days after the surgery. And then I started adding more and more distance till eventually I was walking about, 1,000 paces in the house, back and round and round and back. I kept doing that consistently. And of course, I was doing the PAD100 exercise, which I kind of do anyway, and yoga toes and all that stuff. And then, of course, I'm already doing shoulder hip counter rotation because I've mastered that. And then I decided I had to go down to Missouri to see Sue, but I needed to drive there. So then I decided I would not drive there until I could walk a mile, which was, so I walked out, the first walk outside, I walked to the end of the garden path, and then I came back in and I had to sit down and rest. And I remember thinking, some Iron Man you are. Anyway, and then after about a week, I could walk the dog across the road. And then after about 2 or 3 weeks, I could, walk a full mile around a loop, which takes me no more than half a mile from my house because you want to make sure you can get back. And then as soon as I drove to Missouri, and when I got there, what was the first thing I did after I saw Sue, dealt with the dogs and all that stuff and worked out what was going on, I found a gym. And so I then found a really good gym. It's open 24/7. that they agreed to a 3-month contract at a very reasonable rate, and it was really good equipment. In fact, the training I show in the latest video of using an elliptical trainer for shoulder hip counter rotation, I filmed that in that gym. And I didn't have sophisticated equipment. I have my iPhone, and then I managed to balance that on another piece of equipment with the help of, some paper towels and stuff. And that's how I made that film. And then I edited it in iMovie, which is free. And that's how I created that small piece of that video. And so I found an exercise cycle that fit me really well. And it's important that bikes fit, or you don't want to use them. And so I had the electrical trainer. I had a bike that fitted. I did enormous amounts of walking with the dogs and on my own. I found a walk which was about 3 miles. And if you go to my site on my, inspirational self-help books, Keep Your Feet, and scroll down, you'll see the stats I generated during my last visit to Missouri to see Sue. And I show the stats for intensity versus endurance walking training, one where you keep going at pain level 4. And yes, you have to accept the pain. It's part of the deal, but it needs to be good pain, healthy pain. And then the effect of intensity, where you have to stop every few minutes and then start again. And all the statistics for that are shown in those 2 graphs. And so now I'm in the gym. For 3 months, I was in Missouri. And in a way, it was to thank Sue for coming up and helping me so much. I mean, it was difficult.
So with that thought, Kevin, I was thinking, yeah, it was. Now, after my open heart surgery, it was about 5 days before I was in ICU 6 days. And I had all that stuff. But I remember the very first day they put me in a chair and I sat there and I started moving my feet back and forth, and how that helped me upstairs mentally and emotionally, being able to know that I'm actually doing something. So the importance of the mental health aspect of knowing that I'm making progress every day, even though it's one extra step, or I made it to the bathroom and back, I made it to the mailbox. The importance of the mental health aspect of they work together, don't they?
Absolutely. I did the PAD exercise over and over lying in the hospital bed, and I would do it for, quite a bit before I attempted to stand and walk. And then slowly I walked further and further. But yeah, the mental thing, knowing you can get back is really important, because it tears you down. I mean, I had septicemia and a UTI for the whole week after my surgery, and that really set me back mentally. But I just kept doing that exercise and focusing on getting the hell out of there as soon as I could. And that really, plus Sue being there to get me out, was great. And so she came home with me, and she acted as my at-home personal nurse. She even took out my PICC line on the Saturday morning, which was kind of actually neat. My girlfriend has got my PICC line out, which is this thing they put up in your arm and up to your heart for antibiotics, which I was on to get rid of the septicemia. And she's waving this PICC line at me. I can never forget that image. Anyway, yeah, the mental thing. And also, I feel very concerned for people who don't have friends or support. I had a lot of friends helping me, but it's because I earned those friendships. I worked on my friendships. I found that remembering people's names helped a lot with that, for building more remote friends. So many people, after I came back from Missouri, and I was there for 3 months. That's a long time to be away. I took my cat and my 2 dogs with me. And so many people have missed me while I was away. And all I did was what one of the characters in my first novel told me to do, or maybe it was in the second one I'm writing now. Remember people's names. They appreciate it. Me personally, I don't care. But other people really do care. And so, yeah, building a network, especially when you're older, you don't have any children who are prepared to help you. And my kids really did, help. My youngest son bought me a new fridge and new tires for my truck, which was, for him, it was chump change. But for me, it was like, then you have to buy me a truck. I'm like, no, I don't want anyone buying me a truck, even though mine's ancient. But that was nice of him. But then he's a dentist, right? And so, Yeah, so building that network, I think, is really, really important. And people who end up in old age with no friends, they're really at a major disadvantage. Would you agree, Doug?
Yeah, but aren't we just so dang lucky right now to have Kim create that walking thing that we're going to do, and that we can actually join a team or be a part of a team and support each other with hope, courage, and strength and inspiration, and walk 60,000 miles in our through our bodies, and know that there are 60,000 miles of this stuff that we can walk, and the importance of us joining this group and being a part of each other and supporting each other. There it is right there. And being
Yeah,
able to have that support, to be able to have that support each other, and to have the camaraderie, and to know each and learn more about each other. I know more about Mike than I ever knew before, and it's awesome. And all of that.
I agree with you, Doug. This is one part of my network, but you do need local networks too. I mean, when I had my heart attack, I called a friend who had me to the ER within 10 minutes. If I had to call an ambulance, it would have taken a lot longer.
Yeah.
And so then I had quite a few people visit me in the hospital. And when I got back on my feet and back to, the local community, people were, pleased to see me back, wonder where I had been and all that kind of stuff. So an online network is one thing, but you also need to build a local network too. I think that's really important.
I joined C Rim Striders. It's a walking group in my area. And I met the person in charge that one time. They have these 5K walks every Monday night during the summer. And I joined it, and I told him that I couldn't walk. I had trouble. And he said, well, every Monday night I will find somebody that will walk with you no matter what it takes.
Yeah.
And they did. And I was last every time. That it was 8 walks, 8 Monday nights in a row. And I was last one to come in every time. But somebody walked with me every time. And it was cool to actually have that support. Now, I couldn't do it this summer because I do Monday night groups. So I missed it this summer. But I'm going to do it next summer, hopefully. But it was cool. And the Houston Walking Group has the same thing. They have a big walking club. So there are groups out there you can join that do understand, that will support you and all of that. Everyone has somebody in your area.
And James, you can actually just, if you want to unmute, you can ask the questions you have. Sorry, Douglas, just wanted to jump in
Go for
because
it.
he says, where can I submit all the questions I have about details of working out to
Yeah.
improve collateral circulation? But James, if you want to jump in
Yeah.
and you want to ask, this is the time to ask.
Yeah, I've got so many.
Thanks,
The first one is, how do you know that you're getting too much pain in your workout? I can grade, on a 0 to 10 scale, obviously 0 and 1 and 10 and 9. But if you're trying to aim for 5 or 6, how do you know? I feel like I keep pushing harder and harder, but I'm kind of afraid. When do you know you're hurting yourself? Kind of shooting yourself in the foot, so to speak.
Well, can I answer that, Kim?
Sure. Oh.
Okay, I don't use a 1 to 10, a 0 to 10. I use 0 to 5, because who can tell the difference between a 7 and an 8? They can't.
Yeah.
I learned that from pathology. I'm a pathologist by training, scoring the severity of lesions.
Yeah.
And so I laid that out. My pain, I defined the pain level. So 0 pain is, no problem.
Right.
1 is slight discomfort, just awareness of a problem.
Right.
2 is distinct discomfort. 3 is very mild claudication. 4 is distinct claudication, but I can keep going.
Yeah.
That's important. If you look at those 2 graphs on my website, that would give you the insight into what this means. So a level 4 pain is one where I can keep going. I don't have to stop. As soon as you push it beyond that to a level 5, within a certain amount of period of time, you're going to have to stop, let blood back in your calves or wherever the problem with your blood supply is.
Yeah.
And that is often very painful. Blood refill is a very uncomfortable thing. And it's a very, very different kind of pain. And so you have to learn the difference between a 4 and a 5. So when you're trying to grow collaterals on the road walking, find that 4 level that you can keep going. And for that particular, those graphs, it was for 3 miles where I maintained that level of pain. But remember, I got a background in training. I've run so many marathons. I've done Ironman races. I'm very used to that kind of training. But you have to master it in the same way as an endurance athlete, because you are training to be a PAD endurance athlete. So I would say be very clear what a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, and a 5 are. And a 4, you should be able to keep going, and you'll feel that pain level. I mean, I made a video comparing it to the lactate threshold, level in training for running. It's the same thing. So watch those videos. Think about how you walk, how you do. Think how fast you go. See how far you can go at a level 4. And if you have to stop, then you're edging into a level 5. And you have to find that for you. It's very personal, this level. And if you've never been an athlete yourself, then you have to start from scratch. But then, to be honest, I had to start from scratch when I got PAD. I mean, in 2013, I did the Louisville Ironman. I was third in my age group in that race. In 2014, PAD struck like 1 year later, and I was used to running marathons and coming in, in a pretty decent spot. In 2014, I was coming in last. They were closing the course. I had so much pain in my feet and my calves, and it all happened within 1 year. And so since 2014, I've been working out how to get back. And that I did by studying the pain level of one of many different things and finding ways to get around that and improve flow. That eventually led me to the PAD100 approach to the problem, the blood pumping problem. This happened over a period of 10 years. But that's what I do. I mean, I'm an athlete. I like it. I'm a pathologist. I love understanding disease. I study body movement. I like to think about the way I move. So all these things came together by pure luck. And then Kim came along, which was great. She talks a lot, but that's neither here nor there, but I mustn't say that.
I haven't talked very much at all.
You're doing much better. Anyway, and so that's what you got to find. But don't think that.
Up.
Oh, stop interrupting. You don't have to. You don't have to go. If you think of this 0 to 5 level, you can actually, that makes sense, right? Because if you can't tell the difference between a 7 and an 8, what's the point? There's no point. But there's a big difference between a 4 and a 5. A 4, you can keep going. I kept going for 3 miles, right? I never stopped. A 4. But I was listening to my pain. And so when I did a 5, I upped the ante, and I had to stop about every 2 to 3 minutes. And all those data are in those 2 graphs, where you can see I stopped. You can see how my cadence changed, my heart rate changed, and then I had to start again. And then my heart rate changed and my cadence changed. When I was doing the steady level 4 pain, and this is real pain. I mean, it's not like fun. Well, it is kind of fun if you run marathons. That's all part of the fun of marathons. But at a 4, you can see that my heart rate may remain steady. My pace remains steady. And at the end of 3 miles at a level 4, I think I could have done another 3 miles. At 3 miles at a level 5, I was completely and utterly beat. And I did the 3 miles in only 5 minutes quicker at a 5 than a 4. I gained very little. Very, very little from pushing it hard. But the real question is, which method of walking is best for growing collaterals? And I suspect both of them are, but in a different way. And so this is a journey of self-discovery. That's what it is. Did that help, James?
Yeah, it does. One way I thought would be if it feels like I'm about to have a Charlie horse.
Yeah.
That I should stop at that point. If it's starting to ball up on me.
Yeah, or back off. Or back off.
Yeah. Okay.
Once you've got the so-called Charlie horse, which is claudication, basically, it means you push it a little too hard before. You kind of can't. You can try and slow down your walk and hope it goes away. It's hard to get rid of claudication once you've triggered it, and you kind of need to stop. You can, but it's very, very difficult. So then you'll learn to just walk shy of the Charlie horse, just shy of it. And when you'll start to read your body better and better as time goes by, until eventually you become really, really good at reading your feet and your calves and what's going on. So, yeah, good question.
Yeah. The other thing is I've seen different recommendations of how many times a week and how many minutes per session. And the minutes per session, some seem to say this is the total walk time, including when you have to stop. And others seem to say, no, this time has to be only when you're walking. That's the only time that counts is when you're walking. Don't include the time when you have to rest. I'm curious
So
how
can
you,
I jump in on that? Because and I'm curious, really, Kevin's thoughts, because you can say the more you can walk, let's just start, the more you can walk, the better. The more steps you can take, the longer the session, the better, right? I know that I've looked up several structured walking programs that have been on university websites across the US, and they have suggested 90 minutes. You could do a 90-minute session to get in your 30 minutes of walking. Like, your goal is to get in 30 minutes of walking, so every session make sure you're getting 30 minutes of walking in, of moving in. And if it takes you 90 minutes, that's fine. But the problem that we're finding is, well, while that's great, most people are getting turned off. A lot of people are working. A lot of people, they're deterred by the pain and they don't want to spend 90 minutes to do it. Maybe you should, but the reality is, our experience is, they don't. So we work with Dr. Anita Dua and Dr. Chris Seenan, who are world-renowned walking as therapy researchers, well published. And they say 30 minutes of walking is the goal. If you can already walk 30 minutes, well, then walk 30 minutes at a faster pace. When you max out your pace at 30 minutes in a brisk walk, up it to 45, up it to 60, and really be able to get in as much walking as you can, or a couple sessions of 30 minutes. But start where you are, set your timer for 30 minutes and try to get in as many minutes as you can. I have people that'll only walk 5 minutes in a 30-minute session in their first week, and then they're moving up and moving up in 30-second to a minute increments, and 3 months later they're walking 30 to 45 minutes at a slow pace, but yet they're walking the 30 minutes or 45 minutes. And then the next few weeks, they're going to up the pace. And maybe they're going to start only being able to walk 15 minutes again and then rest. You got to do it at your pace, at a level that you're going to want to repeat and do this on a regular basis. Now, Kevin, feel free to contradict me.
Oh, no, I don't need
What
to
are your
contradict you.
thoughts?
The thing is, you'll be very lucky if you can find a coach who knows anything about coaching people with PAD. They're very rare. And the fact those two physicians are doing that is great. This is very much a journey of discovery, self-discovery. And the real trick is to set yourself goals. When I was in the hospital, I've been there a few times, my first goal was to get to the restroom unaided. And it was as hard as a damn marathon to do that. But once I got to the restroom unaided, damn, now I set my next goal. My next goal is to get the hell out of here. So I need to be able to walk down to, reception and the person pick me up. So I think it's extremely important to set goals. This isn't so important for people without PAD, but with PAD, you set those goals. And one of I addressed that, I think, in chapter 20 of the training manual. The dogs will start barking because the postman's here.
Oh,
My goal for this training manual, which is actually, the whole thing is laid out as a table that you can download and put on your fridge. I set it as a 90-day training, something like that. But you could set it, it could be a 3-year training plan or a 3-week training plan, depends where you are. But it's the sequential process of slowly building on the lessons. And number 20 is really the end of the game, and that is enter a local run race and walk at the back. And so I entered a local run race a couple of years ago. I walked around the whole thing. I came in right near the back with my little dog, and I showed a picture of that online. And it's like, there I am. I finished the whatever the distance was. It was 4 on the 4th, I think. And so that is like your final goal. But you have lots of little goals in between. I would say in your case, James, your goal should be to discover the difference between a 4 and a 5 level pain so you can set your workout. And then deciding how far to go and how long. For each one, it will be different. But for a level 4 where you know you can keep going, if you can do that once, then you can say, well, now you can do it 10 minutes. So you want to say 6 months from now, I want to be able to do it for 1 hour. And so that's your goal. And so, like Kim explained, that's exactly what those physicians are doing. But you have to set your goals because no one's going to tell you. Somebody keeps writing stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, the fact
Bob was wanting to know. Bob was just wanting to know if once you have PAD, we always have PAD, and it's true, but you can persevere with it.
It's progressive, but you can get around those blocks in your blood vessels by growing collaterals and then mastering the way you move your body, with or without amputations, I'm sure, but harder with amputations. And so when you come to these sessions, when Mike, for instance, was here and he talked about how he managed to do a 13K walk across the bridge in Canada. And when he started out on here, I mean, I wasn't saying he was suicidal, but he was very upset about his situation. And so people come here and they talk about their progress. And so that actually is also helpful, but also building your own local network, maybe going to a walking group. People walk in the mall and you can't walk as far as them, or you find someone who can. You need, my chapter 15 is seek out inspiration from others. That's chapter
Hey, James,
15.
come over to Marin and I'll walk with you.
Well, I have a group that I do it with, but I'm trying to work more up to it. I totally agree. I've set goals for myself. I do treadmill and walking on the slight incline in the neighborhood. And the mental part of it is so important, where you feel you're still making progress. But I also have to realize this is a lifetime thing.
Absolutely.
It's not just it's this the rest of my life. I have to be doing this. And that will be the challenge, is finding goals that keep me going so I don't have to lose my lower left leg. Yeah.
Right. No, you should not lose that leg if you do the exercises. I see no reason why.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure of that. Remember, I've got 100% blocked on my major artery to my right leg, and I'm still out there trying to run. And it's not by magic alone. But there's one thing I wanted to read from the book that's important. I don't want to miss it, and we're running out of time. You can do the PAD 100 sitting. You can do it propped up with pillows in your bed with your legs out front, and they're very different. If you're sitting in a chair, your pelvis isn't completely locked. If you're lying on your back, it kind of can more move, right? So if you're sitting on a chair and you do the PAD 100, your pelvis hardly moves. If you do it lying on your back, then you can actually do it like running, right? And so those two are very different approaches to the PAD 100. But at the end of the day, you want to master it on the road, right? With good quality pumping of your feet and your calves and whatever. So I didn't mean to interrupt you, James. I just didn't want to forget that. And I say here you should do it at least once a day. I mean, when I go out for a walk, I'm doing it all the time. When I walk around the house, I'm doing it. I don't even think about it. I'm doing this. If I don't do this blood pumping thing, my feet will fall off. And so I'm motivated.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Kevin, what are we talking about next week? So everyone can look forward to joining. I think now I'm going to get the chapters right. Today was chapter 9. Next week is chapter 10.
Chapter 10 is use an O2 sats meter on your toes to assess progress. That is extremely important. I worked this out for myself because of COVID. COVID gave us a great gift. It gave us a cheap O2 sats meter so we could measure the oxygen tension in the blood in our toes. So I tried it out and it worked great. And so I've even had conversations with people who've done this. One guy's daughter contacted me on the phone and asked me about it. And I asked her, well, go get a measurement on his middle toe. And his middle toe was normal, but he was at an ulcer on his next to little toe. And so I said, well, do it on the little toe. And it turned out that his little toe O2 sats was way down and he needed to start fixing that. So that actually works. And it was only because of COVID, you can get a $30 O2 sats meter. Before then, you'd have to go to a physician's office. Well, who's going to go to a physician's office? It costs $100 to walk in the door. And so those O2 SATS meters, anyway, that's the chapter for next week. That's enough of me ranting.
Oh, that's great.
Fantastic. And so I just want to jump in and close it out here. You all can stay if you want to join the live video audience. You can email us at info@padhelp.org. But also before next week, make sure you pick up Kevin's book on Amazon. Here it is. Also leave a review if you can. If you've already gotten it, please leave a review. I just left a review as well. You can get both the audiobook and you can also get the paperback. You can also visit his channel, Fit Old Dog. So all the videos that he talked about today, if you're thinking, oh my gosh, how do I find his videos? It is youtube.com/the @Fit Old Dog. And look at these great videos. He walks you through everything. The PAD100, save that video, watch it over and over and over again. He actually does the PAD100 with you. So go ahead and save that video. And every day, just click on the video and do the video, the PAD100 alongside him. And you can also sign up for his newsletter at inspirationalselfhelpbooks.com. But then also sign up, and Kevin hasn't done it yet, but I want to compete against him. I already have 32 members in the PAD support group, team for the Great Circulation Challenge for the month of September, where we're going to walk the 60,000 miles of vessels throughout the body. And so make sure you go to the greatcirculationchallenge.org to sign up. And Kevin, hopefully today, is going to start his team so we can compete and you can join his team. What are we going to call your team, Kevin? Are we going to call it PAD training manual? I think so.
We'll call it, we can't find Kevin because he's writing his novel.
Come on. Or Fit Old Dog. Which one are we going to do? PAD training manual, I think, would be great.
Okay, I'll do it. But I mean, I resist anything that distracts me from writing. But yeah, no, that's fine. I'll do it.
It'll be great.
Kim. I owe it.
It'll be fantastic. Make sure you also, while you're on YouTube, make sure you like the video, subscribe to our channel. Well wishes to Debbie. Want to give a shout out to YM for joining us, and all of the other folks that are joining us right here on our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to our channel, and hopefully we'll see you everyone next week when we take on chapter 10. Have a great week, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Josh and Kim.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.